when I was a child, like 6, 7, around that age. I'm not even certain what exactly. I had a visitation. This light came through my bedroom window, and this light became a big orb, and three beings appeared. They were like floating. It wasn't like real form. It was like silhouettes, like they were beings, which later I realized they were the celestial. I don't recall like actual speech patterns, but I knew I was understanding what they were saying or their message, and I could feel their presence very powerfully. At that age, of course, I freaked out. I called my mother. She came into the room, and I do remember that as she was telling me, explaining that nothing's happening, I'm like, you don't see them? They're still here. I remember that. So I always felt their presence since that point throughout my entire life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Shifting Dimensions podcast, where we explore the unseen, the unknown, and the transformative moments that shift our understanding of reality. I'm your host, Jumi Moses, spiritual seeker and metaphysical investigator, exploring the mysteries of existence. We are back again for part two with Niko the Medium. Part one is a very important episode that I highly suggest that you listen to. However, you don't have to listen to these episodes in order, and for your convenience, I've linked part one of our conversation in the show notes. As a quick recap, Niko is a trans an evidential medium, mentor, and author offering messages, guidance, and teachings from the unseen realms. In this episode, we will focus primarily on Niko's trance channeling the collective called Noah. In part one, Niko stated that trance channeling is a mechanism through which the human system begins to remember it was never confined to a single dimension of awareness. He describes trance as the state where the human identity softens enough for the oversoul coherence to come forward. Trans is not about channeling something foreign, but about letting the consciousness hub speak through an access point. Most importantly, Niko emphasizes the rise of trans channeling as not being a mystical trend, but a symptom of consciousness no longer being able to pretend it's isolated. Niko, welcome back to Shifting Dimensions. It is such a pleasure to have you back on the show.
Thank you, Jimmy. The pleasure's all mine. I really enjoyed our last episode, and I'm looking forward to this one as well.
Yes,
You're a guiding light.
thank you. And as we stated in the last episode, it was so good that we had to have a part two and just focus primarily on channeling and you letting us know a little bit more about Noah. I felt like Noah deserved their own segment, right? So I want to
hmm
jump right in and ask you how you first connected with Noah, the collective consciousness that you channeled.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I was a child, like 6, 7, around that age, I'm not even certain what exactly, I had a visitation. This light came through my bedroom window, and this light became a big orb, and three beings appeared. They were like floating. It wasn't like real form. It was like silhouettes, like they were beings, which later I realized they were the celestial. I don't recall like actual speech patterns, but I knew I was understanding what they were saying or their message, and I could feel their presence very powerfully. At that age, of course, I freaked out. I called my mother. She came into the room, and I do remember that as she was telling me, explaining that nothing's happening, I'm like, you don't see them? They're still here. I remember that. So I always felt their presence since that point throughout my entire life. When I finally entered into evidential mediumship, and that was led into trance mediumship, I had other guides that were speaking through me, but I always sensed their essence. And it wasn't until like a circle or a class where another medium and I were on Zoom and we swapped guides. Now we had done that a few times, and she brought in the guides that I was familiar with. And then this one time she brought in these guides, and nobody knew my story. And in trance, that guide was telling me, reminding me of everything that happened. It blew my mind. And then they explained to me that their appearance when I was younger was there to stabilize me and keep my trajectory as it was going, because it would have definitely switched over and been altered. So they allowed me to sense their presence my whole journey to keep me aligned. And they informed me that they would in turn collaborate with me during these trans sessions, these trans transmissions, when the time was right. When I realized it was more of a sacred collaboration, when I realized it was less me and my identity, when my body sustained the frequency, and so many more changes that I wrote about in my books. And then they told me I know who they are as three archangels, but they said that they don't want to focus on the messengers, but rather on the message. And that's where they said we're a collective of three, but we'll be known as by the one name of Noah. And that's exactly who comes through. So even if my voice changes, they could change it mid-word, mid-sentence, they take turns. All I feel is a shift of energy happening. You'll hear the change, but I'm never aware of it.
Fascinating. So they're archangels.
The archangels, three of them.
Oh, and what is an archangel? I always ask this question. I've had so many people talk about angels on the show, but I'm always like, is there, like, I know that people distinguish between archangels and then regular angels.
It's all the same field. It's an infinite field of consciousness is where we all reside as
Hmm.
essence. Okay. They're there too. Archangels, angels, guides, it's all within the same realm. There really is no distinction. Even a guide, the people say I have a guide with me, that's like an angel, an archangel, whatever you want to call them. I think we put more of an emphasis on separation and differentiating who is who, but it's still energy, it's still consciousness.
And you mentioned that this was a sacred collaboration. So does this mean that before you incarnated into this form as Niko, you had some sort of soul contract to have Noah, these three archangels, channel through you at this time?
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm gonna begin with something different today, okay? By giving some context before we move into experience.
Okay.
So most people talk about the soul as if it's the highest or final aspect of who we are. But very few were ever taught how consciousness is actually structured, right? When we don't understand that structure, experiences with spirit can feel mysterious, overwhelming, or even frightening, right? When we do understand it, those same experiences become calm, grounded, and very natural. So before we move into translator today, I'd like to briefly speak about the architecture that makes communication possible in the first place. All right. Most of us live from identity, our human thoughts, emotions, history, personality. But identity is something we experience, not the place we're actually aware from. So awareness is the part of you that notices experience, even when thoughts or emotions change. Look at it this way, awareness functions like an interface. It's how something deeper looks through a human life, right? What many people call the higher self isn't a better version of you. It's the intelligence that organizes this entire incarnation. It doesn't think the way we think, it arranges experience, right? Spirit, in contrast, refers to non incarnate intelligence, consciousness that isn't organized around a physical body, loved ones, guides, teachers, different roles, same field of intelligence. So when awareness settles into its proper position, communication with spirit doesn't feel dramatic, it feels orderly. Okay, it's in that understanding when we ask about soul covenants, soul contracts, when we ask for identity on who they are, that's all the identity, the human identity seeking answers, but we already know through awareness. So you're asking about a soul contract. That's the human perception. But isn't it just awareness meeting awareness? Right? That order is what allows trance to be stable rather than overwhelming. So if they came in and explained to me to my human identity that they're going to collaborate with me, then the human perception of my identity is that we have a soul contract, a soul agreement. But how am I so certain? That's the human identity. If I'm awareness and their awareness and we're consciousness and we're collaborating, it is sacred. It's a collaboration. Does that make sense?
Yes, so what I'm understanding, it's you're basically saying putting the label of whether it's a soul contract or not is relevant but really irrelevant at the same time. It's more about the mechanics of understanding how consciousness works. And if you are
Right.
at the right frequency and attunement, then you are going to be able to come in contact with other types of awareness or consciousness that are in the same vibratory field as you are, or you're able to perceive. And then you guys come in contact with each other and are able to communicate with one another.
The first episode, we spoke about softening the identity. When we soften the identity, we have to realize that by asking if it's a soul agreement and how do I know them, it's coming from the human identity. We're not softening it. We don't recognize that even our questions are based on the human identity.
So
So
that's
I
an ego.
stopped.
Sorry. So
Go
that's an
ahead.
ego question. So
It's
to ask,
not necessarily the ego. We always throw blame on the ego. It's the human identity. It's the condition of our mind. We've learned to identify. If there's no measure in it, if there's nothing we can touch, it's not tangible. If we can't understand the explanation, it's not real. That's how the human mind works. And that's how we've been conditioned to believe it is.
mm,
So even when I asked, and I used to ask all the time, when I first connected to these guides in trance or evidential, I was always asking the same questions. Is it a soul agreement? Are we meant to do this together? That's my human identity. Now I don't bother asking. I could feel it's right. That's the awareness. When you explain this field of consciousness, that's the infinite field of consciousness. That's what we all are. That's right where the creator is, where everybody is. Everybody.
mm,
Right? All aspects of essence. May it be animals, plant, planetary, human, incarnations, all of it is the same field. So if I'm there and the this team is there, logically there's an agreement. But that's my perception as a human. As essence, what is an agreement? Aren't we all interconnected anyway?
mm.
Isn't it just assisting each other in growth? Why would that be an agreement if it's just pure love? So it's the lens we're looking through, the perception.
Okay.
And when we soften the human identity's need to label everything, all connection, trance, evidential, is effortless. And that's so vital because it's not that we're the vessel as humans to bring their message and their essence through into this world. Is how we review this human existence by softening the human identity. That's when we're of love. That's when we realize that arguments with relationships are intentional. There's growth in these arguments. Pain is intentional. I don't believe any of it's real. I think it's part of the illusion of the human incarnation, but illusion doesn't mean it doesn't have depth and reality and intentionality for us to evolve and learn lessons.
Yeah, you're right. And what I'm getting again is just that the idea of whether or not it's a soul contract or a soul agreement is our way as human beings of trying to understand what we are experiencing.
Exactly.
And when we, again, to go back to what you said at the beginning of this conversation, when we understand the mechanics of consciousness and
Right.
awareness, interacting with the spirit world, quote unquote, becomes less mystical and more of a matter. I don't want to say matter of fact, but just the natural flow
It's
of
orderly.
it's
Yep.
orderly. Exactly.
Absolutely.
But
Even go ahead.
no,
What?
you go, please.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say too, I think part of the reason why I asked that question is because someone could be listening to this and could have had a similar experience that you did when you were 6 or 7 and
Mhm.
couldn't figure out why these beings came to them or why they're returning to them in adulthood or why, because some people have the impression of channeling or they have certain mystical experiences like this and they fight it, they push against it, right?
Mhm.
And then they might go to a psychic or a medium and be like, oh, it's part of your soul contract, right? So
Right.
that's part of why I asked that question.
It's more like a soul's path. Every incarnation is the incarnation for your essence. It's my path, my purpose. Okay? It's not the sole purpose. Everything I've experienced was also vital for lessons and emotion activity and growth. And when we view it as a question, why do we have these experiences? It's remembrance, right? We have to remember one thing. If there's no such thing as time, except for in our reality, nothing is random, right? Even you and I meeting. our human minds and our identity believe it's chance. This is what you would refer to as a soul contract. So every single meeting you have with anybody, even a stranger 5 minutes in the street, it would be considered a soul contract.
Hmm.
Plus, you would meet billions of people in one lifetime. It's a reason why it's structured accordingly. Okay. These are all mapping of incarnations. And to understand that, you have to understand the architecture of the soul. It's not just the human experience, it's not just the higher self, it's not just the oversoul. But between the higher self and the oversoul, this is where the mapping takes place and the cross mapping and all these intricate interactions in relation with our life are meaningful because they help each other. Anybody, any relationship you had, you gain something from that relationship, they gain something from knowing you as well. You might not always know what they gained, nor would you understand what you gained only after time and hindsight kicks in. But everything is intentional, even a stranger. You might have been you might have been very upset, very emotional. They just smiled at you and it leveled you out. It calmed the nervous system. Everything is intentional. But we have to say it's a contract, or else it wouldn't be valid.
Mm.
But the contract does not apply to either any aspect of origin, none, because you're still experiencing a human incarnation, right? If we're in that infinite field of consciousness, there's no contract. So why would they be here? It's the same essences intertwined, which sometimes they're coinciding within one trajectory of one life experience. You and I just met. How do you know we don't have other parallel lives that we're siblings or spouses or enemies or rivals or friends? You don't know what we are.
Yeah.
That's why so many times in your life you've come across somebody, you might have met them in that moment and said, I know this person. I don't know how I just feel. I know this person. Or you're passing them in the street and just look at each other and they turn back and the eyes lock and you just feel this sense of familiarity. This is soul recognition. So many possibilities. It could be that is another version of you in a parallel life or someone that you know in a parallel life. It could be a soul recognition, like I said, just, hey, I'm here too. We don't have to understand that. But see, that's the struggle because the human identity, the conditioned mind wants to, believes it needs to, it has to. That's the ego that you said before. All that happens, which is limits our remembrance. None of this is a belief system, nor is it new teaching. We already know because we're part of the architecture of that soul, all of it. And that's why trance is so powerful because not only is it being labeled for centuries as the purest form of communication, that's what softens your identity the most. And even though I'm not aware of what happens when they speak through me to you, I'm aware of that interconnectedness. I'm remembering the architecture. I'm leveling up, if you want to say it, where I am with me as my higher self. I am touching into the oversoul. I'm skirting the infinite field of consciousness at times. And it's amazing. So when I come back, the importance, and that took me a while, that's the human identity softening. The importance is not what was spoken, what you heard, or the listeners, or whoever, because I always wanted to know too. Why can't I know what's happening? That's the human identity. The importance for that that's not the importance for me. It's what I picked up in the remembrance in the transmission, where my awareness shifted deeply into the human field of consciousness, where all spirit collaboration occurs. And every single time it's something new. Every time. I might not remember it right now when I come out of it, perhaps tonight in a dream, or a week from now, or a month from now, something will just, like the seeds are being planted and it'll sprout, and something will manifest in time. And that's
Mm.
how I write books. That's how I teach courses. That's how I keep going. Just bringing it clarity, bringing the clarity and the remembrance back to humanity, which is what I'm here to do.
I love what you said. It's not about contracts, it's more about us remembering. Like when
Yeah.
we come in contact, we people that we may have had quote unquote soul agreements with or other lives with, when we have those connections, whether it's 5 minutes of just talking to the person or knowing them for a lifetime, it's just there's certain things that are remembrances, but we don't understand what's going on when that is happening. So we might call it a contract, etc. But it's remembering and also pushing us forward in conscious evolution.
It's
So,
exactly.
okay, that's fascinating. Why is Noah here at this time? Speaking through you specifically.
All trance mediums serve a purpose, many functions, but they're offering the human form as the vessel. So all trance mediums that are appearing, and this is why it's becoming more mainstream now, is because there are multiple vessels for spirit guidance to come forth into this world. Because why? It's difficult for so many humans to soften the identity. But many more will be open to listening to guidance from the spirit world. So that's like the introductory state. Okay, we're going to speak to you because that's what you're looking for. But many times they've said, we're no different than you. Don't view us as different. And a lot of times people will listen with their human identity and question what they're hearing, but they'll also feel in their heart, and they'll feel presence near them. They're connecting as essence, which is beautiful. I think that all evidential mediumship has expanded a lot more across the globe. Transfiguration is coming back. I think it's just for the time we're in that this is more of to help our species remember we're more than the human identity,
Mm.
which is great.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's why it's happening. I feel like my current working hypothesis is that we're on the precipice of some sort of cosmic evolution, cosmic conscious evolution, where we're waking up more into our superhuman abilities, even though they're not superhuman. I think they were latent and now we're remembering them. So resonate with what you just said. Okay, what would you say to someone who's like, how do you know you're channeling and it's not just your imagination or some sort of subconscious symbolism?
Okay, remember how many times you received intuition and you ignored it. And in hindsight, I should have done that. I knew I should have done that. That's intuition. Okay. Intuition is direct guidance from your higher self to you. Yours, the higher self to you. That's the link. Your awareness in the mind is placed by the higher self. This is why you always have that connection, regardless if you open, remember, you always have the connection. Everybody in human form has intuition. Everybody's connected to the higher self. Everybody. There's not one that isn't. How many listen to the highest, to the intuition and follow it? How many notice it but reject it, go with their thought, continue that way, stubborn, and then only later they might regret it and say, I knew I should take it. That happens all the time. Okay. I've learned to trust my intuition. I've softened the conscious mind, and that's where all spirit communication happens. Evidential mediumship, trance, everything. It's the same exact formula, the same format. Nothing changes. It's not like spirits going to jump into my body. It's all through insight. It's all consciousness. But it's not here. It doesn't happen in my body. It doesn't happen in my room. I shift through my awareness. I travel to that human consciousness field. That's your inner field that surrounds the body. And again, people mistake that for the auric field. It's this teaching is incomplete. The auric field is the outer layer, which surrounds the human consciousness field. Nobody recognizes that. And there is no color. There's no color of the auric field. There's no color of the human conscious field. When people see color, it's their perception, and the color indicates something. It all has meaning. And that happens intentionally too, because if they're seeing color, if they just Google what the color means, if they don't know what color definition is, they'll understand why they're seeing it and how they're perceiving it, and why that's vital for their growth. So everything has an answer when we stop searching for it as humans.
Yes. And we stop looking at it through what we expect to see, if that makes any sense. I think as human beings, if it doesn't fit into a certain box, it's just we can't comprehend it. And talking about intuition, I've had moments where I can tell when I'm imagining something, and I can tell almost when like a knowledge is dropped into my mind. I don't know how to
Yeah.
explain it. And it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
flows through me. And I know for sure I did not imagine it. So I think that's part of what you're saying.
That's
And
the intuition.
yeah.
That's the intuition. When it drops into your mind, is exactly what's happening. And what that is that you're not getting it at that precise moment. The conscious mind is 15%. The intuitive mind is 85%, right? When spirit communicates with you, as they say, that's happening in the intuitive mind because there's no resistance. You just need that one moment, like you're daydreaming or you just calm down. That one moment where the conscious mind is not as active, and that information, that thought enters from the intuitive mind into the conscious mind. Now we perceive it as a new thought. Same with intuition. We
Mm,
believe it's a new thought that just happened. So if we just realize what's happening and we just soften the identity and soften the conscious mind, so much more insight comes in. And then when you really attune to it, it's like an everyday knowing, an everyday understanding. That's how you receive clarity, where you understand your path as your essence, what you're meant to do. And then you're much more aligned to your journey, to your path. And then all those who are meant to assist you are aligning with you. And then everything just locks into place.
mm,
And it's easy when you're there. It's just like second nature. But it's difficult to get there because, again, you have to battle the control the human identity doesn't want to relinquish. So again, that's crazy. Why did I think of that? That's stupid. It makes no sense. And you're always fighting what's naturally occurring. But the beauty is that it continuously occurs. It doesn't stop because you're rejecting it. It's always there. It's patient. There's no time. Patient. That's why
mm.
some people connect young, some very old. It doesn't make a difference. Age has nothing to do with it. Time is an illusion.
Okay, one more question before we ask you to bring forth Noah, because I really
Well,
want to
save
get
some
into
for
this.
Noah too.
I know, let's save some for Noah. And I have quite
They
a
should have
few for
all been
Noah.
for Noah.
I know, exactly. I think this conversation that we're having right now is going to build into some of the things that I'm going to ask Noah
Okay,
about. So,
cool, cool.
you said something that I just want to touch on really quickly. So, when Noah comes through, you're not aware of what they're saying through you. So,
Right.
as I ask you questions, you're probably not going to remember what I asked you and what their response was.
You're not gonna ask me, you're gonna ask them. So I don't remember, I don't
Right.
know anything that's happening. Even when I have these, when people book a private one-to-one session with Noah, I have them recorded because if they ask me anything, I'm clueless. And they usually will make certain you understand. They'll ask if you understand, and if you don't, ask them for more clarity. Otherwise, if you ask me, we're both out of luck.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So I think we can call Noah forward. What should I know about this process?
Nothing.
Okay.
What I'm going to demonstrate today is simply what happens when awareness steps back enough to let that structure that I spoke of earlier do
Mhm.
what it naturally does.
Okay.
That's it. I just need about a minute because I've already connected before we started really quickly.
Okay. How do I bring you back when I'm done with my questions? Is there something I should say?
When you're done with the questions, you could just thank Noah and tell them you're done with the questions. They usually offer their opening words and their closing words. And then
Mm,
I come back naturally. Now, when I come back, sometimes if there's a delay of me coming back, I'm still held in a container. That's like my spirit team. There's more than just Noah. There's other spirit teams we have to help you. Sometimes that happens too, where it's not over. Even though Noah has completed, maybe it's going to be one of your lost loved ones that comes through to speak to you, or one
hmm.
of your guys that comes and speaks to you through me. That
Okay.
happens too. Or it doesn't. I just come right back. So I never know,
Okay. Okay.
but
We'll see.
what's gonna happen is meant to happen.
Okay. Fantastic. All
You're
right.
excited, aren't you?
I'm excited.
Awesome. Awesome. Let me just fix this here. Okay. All right. This is where I teach my I teach this in my beginner's trance courses. If you could just visualize that the front part of your brain is your conscious mind and the back part of your brain is your awareness. Okay. So if you just focus on the breathing and just slowly you're shifting your focus from the front part to the awareness part, it's as if everything opens, right? Your room becomes larger, you become larger. So what's happening is that awareness is in the center of that human consciousness field I spoke of earlier. And then what's happening is like you're transporting, or teleporting, whatever you want to call it, to that point. So when a lot of mediums, they hear the question, they come back, they're just shifting again from that awareness back to the conscious mind. And that's what I call a light trance state, which is also inspirational speaking, where you're very much aware of people that are engaged with you in this world. The moderate trance state is where you're going back and forth and not fully on either one. And the deep trance state is you're actually in that human consciousness field, which is great. So I just breathe, I just slowly let my awareness go until I feel like I'm no longer in my house, in my body, on this planet, nothing. That's when they speak. And I stay there. And that's when there's a lot of collaboration with other guys. And that's when you can actually see glimpses of other parallel realities or whatever. And it's a new journey every single time. That's why I love trance. Because I come out of it always changed, always remembering something, always feel love. The only down part, downside, if you want to call it that, which I call it an honor to sense it, is when I come back, when my awareness comes back after the transmission, I could not only feel the density of this realm, I could feel every single person's pain.
Oh
Like
my gosh.
I always want to cry when I come back.
Like The Giver. Do you remember that book?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I never thought of it that way. Wow. That's good.
Very
That's very
intense.
good.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'll see you later. Greetings to you, my dear one.
Welcome, Noah.
It truly is an honor, my dear, to
Thank you.
connect to your wonderful essence, my dear. And we are indeed humbled and grateful for this opportunity you have provided to us, my dear. Mm, Quite a powerful essence indeed, my dear. Notice, my dear, reflect this incarnation, your beginnings, the difficulties. Often sense that you were a voice that was not being heard. And focus now, my dear. You are both educating yourself as well as remembering your true self. So at times, my dear, throughout this journey, you sensed your voice was not heard. I assure you, my dear, your voice will not only be heard, it will become transformative for many who listen, my dear. You are indeed journeying this precise journey you are meant to, my dear. And unbeknownst to you at this present time, there is indeed much honor and respect for you. Trust, my dear, you are not alone. And in your reality, my dear, there will be those who shall join you. There will be collaboration, my dear. And it is through that collaboration that your voice, my dear, will reach the masses. Remain humble, my dear. Always attempt to remember your origin. Is that clear, my dear?
Yes, thank you so much, Noah. Thank you. May I begin asking questions?
Indeed, my dear.
Thank you. I want to start off by asking about free will.
Yes.
Do we have it?
This is a perception, my dear. Allow us to focus on this term free will by offering you two lenses to view this, my dear. And you are viewing it through your human identity. Notice there is control attached, even disappointment. But noticing it from your essence, my dear, one remembers what it truly entails. You are always being guided by your highest essence, my dear. You are provided insight in increments to assist with your journey, your next few steps, if you will. Each one in your realm, my dear, receives the same exact insight by their own highest essence. This is where the term free will is applied, my dear. You are not forced to receive that insight and act accordingly. You are provided the choice. This is why so many, my dear, do not rely on their intuition. But most of it is intentional. There are lessons and experiences to truly live through as embodiment. There are also moments, my dear, when even as one enacts this free will, if you will, they sense a longing, a pull to redirect their course. At times, my dear, it is essential they follow to remain aligned with their purpose. Free will, perceived in your realm, is attached to linear time. It is attached to reincarnation. It is attached to judgment. It is attached to religious doctrines. So, in answer to your question, my dear, it is indeed an option, an honor, a gift, if you will, through incarnation. But it is not, and it is perceived by those in your realm. Is this clear, my dear?
Yes, thank you.
And are you, my dear?
To my next question, is there good and evil?
Notice, my dear, where that question originated. This question, my dear, this discernment, this opposition, if you will, was created by those very institutions, my dear, which seek to gain control by instilling fear into the masses. The same institutions, my dear, which claim spirituality. Mm. If all essences, my dear, are pure love, if all essences, my dear, reside nearest to the Creator, mm, Where then, my dear, is evil placed? Well, this concept, my dear, is inconsistent. It was intentional, my dear. Those power would never have been gained and sustained throughout the centuries of your time. Is that clear, my dear?
Yes, thank you.
And are you?
As a follow-up question to that, why do horrible things happen that people perceive to be evil, which is war,
Mm,
death, illness, famine, sexual abuse?
my dear. View these experiences, my dear, as the hues on the canvas. Without the experiences, without the hues, would the image appear complete and beautiful? People are viewing, my dear, through a single lens, a single perception based on a single incarnation. And as there is no concept of time, my dear, it is not singular, my dear. Allow us to begin with the concept of death. There is no ending, my dear. The soul, the essence, is eternal. Incarnations, my dear. Your reality through linear time. Beginning, a middle, and an end is required, my dear, for it to become a perceived reality. But there is no death. There is no separation. It merely states that one singular incarnation has completed its cycle. One perceives a death, but is unaware that it is a birth in another incarnation. It is an ongoing incarnation in yet another, and so on, my dear. So that perception is completely inaccurate. What you perceive as catastrophes and you perceive as evil, once more, is being viewed through a limited lens, my dear. Everything occurs in your reality intentionally, my dear. For the mere fact that you are noticing something that is not stable within you, which brings forth anger and disappointment and worry and confusion, is simultaneously, my dear, softening your resistance and allowing your awareness to expand, my dear. So as one is perceiving the destructions of your reality, nobody is noticing the expanded conscious awareness also evolving. How could consciousness, my dear, expand if all remains peaceful and loving in a reality? But even those whom you perceive as world leaders, and there is much speculation that they are evil, view their incarnation, my dear, through the lens of your essence for a moment. If it were not for that incarnation, for the events currently occurring in your reality, the expanded awareness of consciousness would not reach where it is intended to reach, for it never would have began. So perception, my dear, is individual and intimate and aligned with each one's current human experience. But it is only perception, my dear. There is meaning and definition, which lies much deeper than the conscious mind can comprehend. Is that clear, my dear?
Yes. Some of what you said I have to sit with and process, but thank
Would you like me to elaborate on any portion, my dear, that was unclear to you?
I think the biggest thing is understanding the ongoing purpose of the levels of suffering.
My dear, allow me, my dear, to focus on your very own suffering within this incarnation. Notice how it was internal. It was not broadcasted, my dear. And notice how you evolved. Would you have evolved if that suffering did not occur as you did?
Yes.
Suffering is also perception, my dear. Each of your essences is a pure love, and there is no suffering. It is the human incarnation which perceives suffering, which allows one to experience the depth of pain. There's multiple layers, my dear. As one continues to experience these layers, these depths, shades of the same hues of the canvas, my dear. This is how one's essence evolves. So even those that you are perceiving suffering extremely, if you will, you are unaware, my dear, how their human incarnation is designed so their own highest essence can evolve to its greatest depths. As you are also uncertain, my dear, what other realities you are experiencing through human incarnation, where perhaps you are a victim or the victimizer. So when one is viewing through a singular lens, my dear, and they are judging and they are questioning, they are limiting their understanding of what truly is occurring. And within that limitation, my dear, they are not allowing themselves to remember as essence what truly is occurring and why. Is that clearer, my dear?
Yes, thank you.
And are you, my dear?
Is heaven on earth possible?
Mm.
Many have talked about a new earth.
Let us first remove this idea of heaven as a destination, my dear. Let us also remove that your reality is another destination, my dear. And also let us remove that your essence is separate, traveling from one realm to the other. Your essence is everywhere, my dear. It does not travel, for it is consciousness. And it is that explanation that allows it to be everywhere, exist everywhere at all time. View it, my dear, as your essence is a projection of consciousness to your reality. Your breath anchors your essence into your physical form. And that essence experiences the human experience, my dear. The future of your species, my dear, is what will occur to expanded consciousness, to expanded awareness of essence. This is the trajectory, my dear, of humanity. It has been for centuries, my dear. The origin of your species was intimately connected to remembrance. But in order for your reality to evolve as it has, my dear, forgetfulness was placed intentionally. But the trajectory, my dear, the arc, if you will, was always meant to return to remembrance. As there is no concept of time, my dear, you are noticing changes, the altering of consciousness, the beginning of remembrance, my dear. Which is why you are serving an honorable role, if you will, with the expansion, by offering this humble platform, by speaking your truth, by not diverting your words to appease others, by not truly focusing on acceptance. And that allows you to remember your essence. Which is why we earlier stated, my dear, that your voice will indeed touch many and assist them within their own remembrance. Just as these transmissions, my dear, are meant to offer the same, a humble nudge into remembrance. And this shall continue to evolve throughout your species, throughout your realm, throughout your reality, throughout your time. Until one day, my dear, your reality is quite altered once more. Is that clear, my dear?
Thank you. My understanding is that the more we remember and the more we raise our vibration as a collective, Earth might be better for all of us.
It is not a matter, my dear, of your human identity raising vibrational frequencies, my dear. Essence already resides at a much higher vibrational frequency. You are your essence. So in actuality, my dear, you already possess this higher vibrational field. It is through remembrance, my dear, that you are connected once more. It is through remembrance, my dear, where there is no judgment. There is no comparisons. There is no hatred. For each one is viewing the other as their essence. Once they remember themselves as essence, then it continues, my dear. Notice how much more have begun to remember, my dear, than previous times. And notice those, my dear, who have remembered their essence, have not all fully accepted it as truth. Therefore, my dear, they still judge. Perhaps they are still bigots or racists or cruel, even as they have remembered. For others, my dear, are remembering and continue to enact that which they've remembered into their physical human identities, my dear. It is not merely a matter of remembering, for many are beginning to remember. It is honoring what you remember and projecting that for your human identity. That is where will be the change, if you will, my dear. Is that clear?
Thank you. Yes, my understanding is the idea of heaven on earth is already here. It's about us remembering.
Indeed, my dear. There is no heaven, there is no earth. Essence is eternal, unconditional love. And ask yourself, my dear, do you view humanity offering unconditional, pure love to one another?
Mm.
This is why there is a perception of heaven and hell, my dear. Mm.
Thank you.
And are you, my dear?
What is the highest frequency that human beings can tap into?
Your question, my dear, reflects the human identity. Recognize, my dear, that in your history, the perception of the human identity, my dear, believing it has reached the Creator, has only reached the highest essence, known in your realm as the higher self. It has only reached the container of essence, my dear, memory of all incarnations, known in your realm as the Oversoul, my dear. And once humanity reached this level, it stopped seeking, it stopped reaching. But there is yet more of the architecture of origin, my dear. This is also what shall occur in your perceived future. When one remembers their essence, my dear, it is not the mere fact that they are essence which they remember. They begin to remember the architecture of origin of where they came. This is true enlightenment, my dear. Through this true enlightenment, reality in your realm is forever altered, and the majority of humanity remembers as one. Is that clear, my dear?
Yes, thank you.
And are you?
There's a lot of talk about disclosure and aliens making themselves more visible or known to the wider public. Many psychics are channeling different alien races. Why is this happening at this time?
My dear, allow me to ask you, if one allows the possibility of the truth to remain, that this one physical incarnation you are privy to is not your only one as essence, that there are indeed other incarnations occurring simultaneously, one true essence experiencing many incarnations through the same consciousness field, my dear. But there is cross overlapping of consciousness, if you will. This occurs within the dream state. This occurs within the inner knowing. This occurs through signs visible in your realm. When one accepts that as truth, my dear, then one also recognizes the very real possibility, if you will, that another incarnation, their essence is also experiencing, is what you perceive as alien. You're all one, my dear. Essence is all one and the same. So even these you mentioned, my dear, who are bringing forth messages from intergalactic beings, my dear, is simply their own consciousness overlapping, essence to essence, the same essence, my dear, two different forms of incarnation. Notice, my dear, when this knowledge spreads across humanity, and they recognize that these are not strangers, different realities, visiting to cause harm. But rather, these future visitations, my dear, are offering a remembrance at a much higher level that there is no separation. We are all still essence, my dear. Imagine for a moment, my dear, how profoundly that will alter clarity, the understanding, the belief to humanity. Profound elevation of expanded consciousness will it not be, my dear?
Yes.
Hmm.
Thank you.
And are you, my dear?
Does prayer work?
Again, my dear, notice where prayer originated. From the same religious institutions, my dear, that offered fear. Governmental agencies, my dear, also implementing fear. Fear only exists, my dear, if one is seeking control. When one views praying as essential, they once more enforce the idea of separation, that only the Creator listens to prayers. This enforces the belief that your human identity is separate from your essence. And that is truly incomplete, my dear. As your breath is your essence, my dear, there would be no incarnation nor any human identity without the breath. And notice how this is so often overlooked as truth. Fear has been instilled within the human psyche for so long, my dear, that the human identity fears what it would be without said fear. So they continue to enforce separation. They continue to pray to the unseen, and they fear their own death, as you stated earlier, my dear. Meanwhile, my dear, when one remembers the architecture of origin, they remember, my dear, that their original essence is with the Creator, my dear. Is that clear, my dear?
A little bit. So,
Mm.
is it fair to say that prayer is not necessary? And if that's the case, how do we ask for assistance through trying times?
My dear, as mentioned earlier, you are always receiving guidance and assistance from your own highest essence, my dear. Notice one fears these trying times you state, for they do not remember their own essence. They believe their human identity. They believe they are set. They believe the Creator is further away than possible. They believe that in death, they believe they must seek salvation in order to enter the gates of heaven. This is all teachings of your realm in order to gain control, pass through centuries, my dear. We're at this current state of humanity. It is absorbed as natural truth. When people perceive difficult moments, my dear, they are confused and they seek the assistance of the Creator. But it is your essence, my dear, that created these difficult moments in order to learn through experience and grow and evolve. Your essence is eternal, my dear. No incarnation is eternal. So, if, my dear, if your essence, my dear, has included these difficult moments intentionally in order for you to experience hopelessness, sadness, pain, grief, betrayal, there's multiple shades, my dear, if you will, in order for it to evolve as essence. Why would one perceive them as difficult moments, my dear, instead of honorable moments within one lifetime? You're always connected to the Creator, my dear, because your original origin resides within the infinite field of consciousness where the Creator is. It is as if, my dear, one does not believe they are more than the human identity. This is why they rely on prayer. They rely on seeking salvation. And they hope that their essence returns to the heavenly realm. This is all teachings, my dear, in order to instill fear for power. Is that clear, my dear?
A little bit. Just one more follow-up question to that.
Indeed, my dear.
So, I'll use myself as an example. When I pray, I notice that certain changes happen in my life that are positive. Whether I'm praying for a loved one that's sick that gets better, or whether I'm praying to get out of a certain mental state like sadness. So, what is happening there when I pray and my prayers seem to be answered?
Notice, my dear, when your conscious mind is truly concerned with situations, relationships, perceived difficulty, it is within that strain, my dear, where one's intellect can no longer find the solution. And then it is through this faint, hopeless state that one essentially gives up trying. That is when they turn to prayer. In this redirection, my dear, what is occurring is that your conscious mind is softened. Your human identity is softened. And it is your awareness, my dear, which is heightened. This is a connection to your highest essence once more. This is why you sense safety, familiarity, sense of groundedness, love, protection, embodiment. You are sensing your essence at a higher degree, my dear. This is what you perceive as touching God. As mentioned earlier, my dear, your essence is an architecture. You are sensing the full architecture when you've surrendered the conscious mind enough, my dear, and the human identities need to control outcomes. And when you return, my dear, your focus to your reality, it is not that your prayer assisted someone's healing, my dear, as that healing was intended to occur. It is merely that you are perceiving it through softer eyes. Your acceptance of your essence, my dear, continues to linger, and you are noticing changes. If you, my dear, continue to live your human experience within that same prayer, you will notice outcomes vary, change everywhere. More love in your heart, more trust in your essence, even when one experiences difficulty trusting their human identity. Continue to live your life in that prayer, my dear. This is the same as remembering your essence. Is that clear, my dear?
Yes, thank you.
And I you.
I have a question surrounding karma. Are human beings stuck in a reincarnation loop until they clear their karmic debt?
This is what we're attempting to identify earlier, my dear. If one believes in karma, my dear, one believes in reincarnation, my dear, notice it is of the linear time sequence. So simply, my dear, if time is an illusion, would that not also equate to karma and reincarnation as part of the same illusion? One does not reincarnate in sequence, my dear. There is no punishment. There is no right and wrong. Each outcome is intentional, for each outcome provides multiple possibilities, and each one, my dear, is growth for one's essence. So there is never punishment. This is misunderstood greatly in your realm. And once more, I revert to its origin, my dear. Karma is also an act of fear, also instilled for power. The sequence of incarnation, my dear, is much more complex to the human mind's comprehension, and it's much safer and easier to believe in karma. When one does so, my dear, they fear their own journey. If you're a projection of your essence, my dear, of your own consciousness, and they cross overlaps into various physical incarnations simultaneously, view each one of these incarnations, my dear, as one incarnation, if you will. The true involvement, evolution of your essence, my dear, is when each one of these physical incarnations come to its end. The wisdom born of each and every powerful, difficult, emotional trials is what assists one's essence to evolve. The capacity if one truly remember their essence, if they struggled, if they veered far away from their remembrance. As a collective, my dear, within each of these incarnations, is what allows one's essence to truly evolve. There is no punishment for what one views as a mistake, as one views as a loss, incompletion, disappointment in one incarnation serves as the growth, the mobility, the profound insight in another incarnation, parallel, occurring simultaneously. So it is impossible, my dear, for one to live a life with mistakes, with guilt, or be punished. For each parallel incarnation, my dear, is learning through the other, unbeknownst to themselves. This is a shared consciousness, if you will, my dear. Your highest essence is governing each and every one through love, compassion, generosity, and patience, as an essence does. So, how, my dear, you ask, can you assist another to the parallel reality? Those moments, my dear, you awake with irritation, unexplainable why. Nothing occurred. Your intellect cannot rationalize why you are irritated, and yet you continue to be irritated. Either for 1 hour, my dear, one day, you experience irritation with no natural reason. This occurs, my dear, because another parallel experience, another version of your essence, in another incarnation, is experiencing an overwhelm of irritability, of pain, discomfort. In your highest essence, my dear, lifts portion of this difficulty and places it with you to harbor it for a short while, as you're able to in that situation, where the other version, my dear, cannot. This is why one experiences unknown irritation for a short while and it fades. The same with happiness, my dear. If you're not awoken, feeling extremely pleased, elated, loved, for no apparent reason, my dear. This is shared love, my dear. It is not harbored to assist another. It is merely pure unconditional love being spread through each and every parallel incarnation for assistance, for remembrance, for security. When each and every one, my dear, comes to an end, your essence, my dear, begins a new line of incarnations focused on different purpose of learning, of growth, of evolution. But all lines of incarnation, my dear, assist one the other, or shared consciousness, affect each other with growth, awakening, if you will, remembrance. So if this is true, my dear, why does one still believe in karma through fear? This is what is continuously being taught in your realm from those who seek more power. Is that clear, my dear?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
And are you?
This is the final question, and it's around consciousness. Is AI conscious?
Your devices, my dear, are created based on what the human inputs within them. Is this not correct, my dear?
Yes.
This is part of your devices. This is also part of what human inputs within them, my dear. Anything mechanical, my dear, does not possess consciousness, for it does not possess essence. Essence is consciousness, my dear. Plant essence is consciousness. Animal essence is consciousness. Planetary essence, environmental essence is consciousness. Machines, devices, anything man-made, my dear, never can possess consciousness. Is that clear, my dear?
Almost. The follow-up question to that is, what exactly is essence?
What you perceive as your soul, it is your consciousness. It is part of this infinite field of consciousness, my dear, where all essence is, all essence resides, all essence interconnects.
Mm.
It is merely labeled through limitations of vocabulary throughout species. In the human realm, my dear, it is referred to as soul. But through the human reach, my dear, humanity has merely reached the level of higher self, perhaps even at times over, but it has not truly reached the infinite field of consciousness. Intergalactic realms, my dear, have reached further, but their realms does not entail forgetfulness as yours. But all is consciousness, as is the Creator, as is the infinite field of consciousness. Is that clear, my dear?
Yes. So rocks would be conscious,
Planetary.
planetary. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Anything of the earth, my dear, is planetary consciousness, environmental consciousness, energy, if you will. The human perception is that it is energy, and yet, my dear, it is still consciousness.
Thank you.
And you, my dear, as mentioned earlier, the human consciousness field. As your perception is that energy is everywhere in your realm. When one begins to alter that statement to consciousness is everywhere in their realm, then cross overlapping of consciousness, my dear, is much more widely accepted.
Thank you.
Even the plants, my dear, in your home. This is consciousness. The animals in your home. This is consciousness. It is not that you selected them, my dear.
Mm.
It is consciousness resonating with consciousness. Each possesses a unique energetic signature, and that is what they resonate to. Is that clear, my dear?
Yes. Thank you so much.
And you, my dear. Truly has been an honor and a privilege, my dear. We offer our humble gratitude to you listeners. Most importantly, my dear, we truly offer you our love and our gratitude, as it has been an honor. I thank you, my dear one.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you so much.
This is going to cross and back. like a threshold. And this is when there's tears in my eyes. And I could feel this pressure in my heart. This is why I feel pain. People's, not mine. Heartbreak, cries, screams. But it just came from a place of love. This is when I know that love conquers all eventually. And then I just come back.
Thank you so much for that, Niko. How do you get yourself out of this feeling of heaviness in your heart and sadness and
I don't. For now, for the next 15 or 20 minutes, I really feel it. And I'm just grateful for the experience because it enables me to really relate with every human and to understand love. And I trust that there'll be a time, if I'm still alive, when I come back and I'll feel less pain. That's the duality of incarnation. You get
yeah,
to feel both.
yeah.
But then, as the human life dictates, by tomorrow morning, I'll be fine. I'll be back into my human life.
Yeah.
But it's
And
always now. It's like, oh, I can just feel it. It just, oh,
the
I want to hug
heaviness of it.
everybody. And it's part of it. It's just
Hmm.
part of it. What can I do?
So you just came from a realm of so much love and
Yeah, I just felt that love.
yeah, yeah.
How did you enjoy it?
It was fantastic. It was quite fascinating because, and I think it might have just been the shadow being casted on your face, but it
Oh,
looked like a silhouette of someone else speaking,
that
like on the
happens.
very side of your face, which was
Yeah,
very fascinating. That was what I was focused on. It literally felt like there was like another face or presence
yeah,
really right at the corner of
yeah.
your face,
Yeah, they do
like a
that.
shadow. So it was very cool.
Did you take a photo to share with me? I don't get to see any of that
Oh no,
stuff.
I didn't even think to screenshot. I was just
It's okay.
locked
It's
in.
okay. It's okay.
And it's interesting how they communicate because obviously English is our mode of communication, but it's like they're trying to communicate with h- English, the human language, but a lot of these concepts are ineffable and hard to understand because certain
Mm.
things, concepts that I thought I understood in the past, I'll listen to them again a year or two later and it sounds completely different to me. I think
Mm.
some of the questions that I asked, I like it's almost I could tell they were trying to be as clear as possible using human language, but sometimes it doesn't, I don't know if there's like a full-on translation of basically what they're trying to communicate, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. That's when they come through me,
Mm.
keep me up at 4 or 5 in the morning and give me downloads information to write books about it.
Mm.
And then I have to use my human language ability to get all that like I get coded words and coded
Yeah.
messages, and then I have to sit there and it takes me months sometimes to get it into actual language that I could send books out. So that's good.
Yeah, very fascinating. Thank you.
It's also that when you sometimes you're not always ready on your journey to receive that information. That's why you say
Yes.
months later you receive it totally differently.
Yeah.
It always happens.
Yeah, 100%. It always happens to me. So I'm excited to see what I hear when I listen to this. I'm gonna post this soon in a couple of weeks, but I'm excited to see what I hear when I listen to it like months from
Yeah.
now or a year from now. But it was a cool experience. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Again, where can people find you if they want to book a session with you,
Absolutely.
learn more?
Absolutely. You see the little red light? Did you see any red light here over my face before?
I saw at
See the
one
little
point there
red
was like,
here?
oh, yeah, I saw like a face. Wait,
You saw the
describe
face
it.
here.
I saw a
Did
face here,
you
and then I saw something else that it didn't really look like it looked like a mask
yeah, yeah,
almost.
yeah. How about these red light? You see the red dots everywhere? In the corner,
Yes,
the little red
yes,
dots?
yes.
Did that come across the screen? On the
Um,
bottom here, on the
I
top here?
I think they did. I was just so I was
Yeah.
like almost kind
No.
of in trance with you, and I was like so
Yeah.
focused. But I just remember seeing a face at the corner of your
Yeah.
face,
Yeah.
and then
All
also
that.
seeing like I don't want to say an apparition, but almost a
Apparition of
mask.
orbs that happens.
Yeah.
Even the red that wasn't there when
hmm
we started.
Oh, for some reason I was just because it was really potent when you were
Yeah.
doing like channeling. So I was just like, maybe it's just because your room is dark, so there's some sort of
No,
reflection.
I only have
Oh,
a blue light.
oh, so where
I
is
have
that
no
red
idea how
coming
red
from?
appears out of blue. So that's why I have the black background and only a blue light. The
Mm.
red is spirit. The transfiguration or the overlap of the face is spirit. Sometimes you'll see like little faces or orbs or
Mm-hmm.
I know what happens because people send me photos. I'm like, oh my God, a screenshot. This is amazing. And I
I should
post
look
on my
into it.
Facebook page. It's okay. It's okay. I don't have to see it. I feel it. I feel a lot of presence
Yeah,
around me, but
yeah.
that's all them. I think that's fascinating how the red appears. I still
hmm
haven't figured out how because there's only one blue light. I just don't get that, but it's okay. I don't have to.
Yeah.
So it's very cool.
It really felt like something else was speaking through you. So
Yeah.
it is very fascinating. Yeah. So, anyways, where can people find you if they want to learn more about you or
Uh,
work with you?
Very simple. NikoTheMedium.com. Niko themedium.com. Everything is there. The books that I've released on Amazon, I have my own personal bookstore. Any upcoming courses, they can always schedule like a 30-minute free consultation to see what they want to do. If they want to have
Yes.
a book a trance reading or an evidential reading or just a talk, I'm always free to talk. Just schedule it, no problem. Facebook. I have three weekly circles. One on Wednesdays is evidential, Wednesdays is trance development, Thursdays evidential development, and Sundays we have like an open talk. All of that they can find on that website too. Even have a direct link to just join it. I have a podcast as well and blog. I have everything. It's all
Yeah.
on the website. Whatever they want to do, just come and join us, and that's where you keep tabs on what's happening. I'm gonna offer a beautiful retreat on a Greek island in
Mm.
probably end of September, early October. I am planning to also come to New York and Chicago to do a retreat. It should be fun. Meet people in real life is always exciting,
Yes. 100%. I'll leave
you
the link
know?
to your website in the show notes. Thank you so much
Yeah, thank
for
you.
stopping by the show.
Oh, it's been an honor and thank you very much for having me anytime. It really was. It was great meeting you once again.
Absolutely.